All right, I'd like to welcome you all to our performance seminar today. This is for Monday, the 22nd of July, and we have three pianists here with us. Welcome, everybody. I would like to open up the floor to Miss Sophie. So, Sophie, when you're ready, go ahead and introduce yourself, your piece of music, and composer. Oh,
My name is Sophie Jabouri, and I'm going to be playing Sonatina in C by Clementi. May I restart, please? I had a camera in the way.
yeah, go for it. Bravo, Sophie. How was that? How's that experience for you?
It was definitely not my best.
So let's walk through that then. Well, let's actually start with the things that worked well today. So why don't you walk me through at least two things that you felt they were in place?
Um, I guess just the first few lines.
Okay. And what about the first few lines were you happy with?
Mm, the fact that I'm more comfortable with them.
Yeah. So do you know how you became comfortable with those lines? What did you do? What have you done in these first two lines that you need to do for the other two lines? Aside from just playing it over and over, right? What do you think is the difference between the way that you think about these two lines and the other lines?
Um, well, I guess it is the fact that I played it a bit more, so it feels better.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way that you can get the other lines to be at the same level in a shorter amount of time? Like what do you really have to do when you're sitting down to practice?
Probably replaying them more often and getting more comfortable with them.
Yeah. Well, let's go around the room and we'll just get some thoughts. Let's start with Harrison. Harrison, what would you suggest if you're learning a piece of music like this and you need to get, let's say, this line here learned quite quickly? What would you do?
Um, I would probably first do backwards practice.
Yeah, that's always a good method. Do some backward practice. Anything else that you'd suggest?
Um, a slower tempo to slowly, gradually getting faster.
That's a good method as well. Very good. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Finding a tempo that you can handle and then building from there. How about you, Vyas? What are some thoughts that you can offer Sophie? Why don't you comment on things that she's currently doing well and maybe some ideas that she can focus on for next time?
Some things I think she's doing well is like getting the it's called dynamics. I feel like she's having a decent range of dynamics. But also I think something she could have worked on is I think sometimes her notes could be a little bit off. Either
Hmm.
it's like the I don't know, either it's like the spacing between the notes, like not playing it in the correct time, or she
Mm.
could be missing the notes. I wasn't very sure,
Yep,
but
yep,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I think I agree with both of you, Harrison and Vyas. Sophie, what I'd suggest you do is continue the separate hand practice for this piece here. And let's say you're looking at line 3, right? Um, map out the notes that you have, the fingering that you have as well, because sometimes it's just a fingering issue. And if the fingering isn't quite there, then we stumble, right? So you want to keep that in consideration. So you're looking at the notes, number one, you're looking at the fingering, and you're also looking at the spacing between the notes. Like how far do you actually have to jump, right? Do you have to jump a big jump like this, an octave? Or is it a pattern that reoccurs, goes up 4 notes and down 1 note, right? So that's what I would suggest. For instance, right at the end, it went da 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 da. Right? You can see that it's a broken chord for these first 4 notes, and then the next 4 go down by step. So you want to tell your hand that, like, okay, we're going to go broken chord, and then we're just going to head down by step, right? If you need to add the fingering in there as well and talk yourself through that, definitely do that because then it'll tell your hand exactly where to be placed. So does mapping make sense to you, Sophie? Like when I explain that idea?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You're already there. If you can do it for the first 2 lines, you can do it for the others. But don't get stuck in the trap of just repeating it over and over again without a plan of attack, right? The plan of attack is for you to familiarize yourself with the notes, how they're put together, and then how you're going to maneuver it with your hand, okay? So I'd start from the last line and work my way backwards. Seeing as the first 2 lines are really good, start from the end, okay, Sophie? And then work backwards.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, welcome. Nice. All right, let's continue. Mr. Harrison, go ahead and show us your skills.
My name is Harrison, and I will be playing Memory by Catherine Rowland.
Nice, Harrison. Okay, so what's your plan of attack now that if you compare this to the performance you did last time, what are the improvements that you'll see?
Um, I can definitely tell that the beginning is a lot smoother now.
Hmm, nice.
And then on the second page, where it goes from where it starts here,
Yeah.
um, I can definitely tell that I've gotten that better because previously it was more choppy and not as smooth.
Right, right. Yeah, I definitely feel that you've become more comfortable with the first part. So it's similar to Sophie, right?
Hmm.
So all of this first part is really smooth. The left hand, once again, it's similar to what I was saying before. You need to map out what the notes are and the fingering. So you're not just memorizing the notes, but you're also memorizing the fingering that you're going to be using, right?
Hmm.
So if you have to do a crossover with the E, A, E, B, C,
Hmm.
write that in so that your hand knows. Because you notice sometimes it hesitates a little when it
Yeah.
gets to here and over here. Yeah, all right. So go ahead and just write that in. Let's go around the room. Sophie, do you have some thoughts for Harrison on his performance?
I think overall it was really smooth and really nice. Um, I guess just making himself more familiar with a couple of parts
Yeah.
would be the best idea.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Thanks, Sophie. And what about you, Vyas? Some thoughts for Harrison?
Near the place where he ended, I feel like he had like a big pause between the lines.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, also he had some hesitations. But I don't know what else. Okay, wait, that's for and what he did good, I guess, was sure. I mean, he played pretty consistently for the parts that weren't hesitated.
Mm.
Like he would, I guess, like for eighth notes, he'd play perfectly on eighth notes. But sometimes he'd just go for longer times than
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Vyas. Harrison knows about that, right? You know the parts that you were just kind of hesitating, right? He's like, yes, I did that for musical purposes.
Yeah.
All right, Harrison, go ahead and smash out this last page. I'm gonna give you a week. All
Okay.
right, you've got this now. Same thing applies that we were talking about earlier. Is you gotta just map it out, and take it in small chunks. So if you focused on one line a day, by the end of this week, you should have this one in the bag, and
Okay.
then we can catch up. And then when we catch up next week, right, we can go over it together.
Okay.
All right, cool. Well done. Nice, Mr. Vyas. Go ahead and share us your piece.
Second. Hello. Yeah.
Hey, Vyas, can you turn on your original sound? Let me just test it out. There you go. Good. Well done, Mr. Vyas. All right, talk us through that experience. Happy with how that went?
Not not the most. Uh,
All right.
I
So why don't
guess
you walk us through what you want to fix for next time?
so I guess for next time I want to do is work on the timings for the fourth line, um, because I mess up a lot in the coordination for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Also in the second line, sometimes like I'd start faster than what I was going before because
Right.
of the change from the triplets to the coordinates. Or eighth notes, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
16 that stuff. I I was getting confused with the speed, so I think I should work on that.
Yes.
And then in the right hand for the last line, like the first measure, it's like I need to get better fingerings for that. Otherwise, I'm gonna just keep on messing up when I go on speed to at the actual speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do realize that you play this at a different speed too.
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, just like I don't know why I was just fluctuating between the speeds.
Do you ever play with a metronome?
I play this when I'm practicing with the metronome, but like other than that, I kind of mess up with the speed.
Okay. I would suggest just get a metronome and just put it at one speed, even if it's just a slow speed, and get into the groove of playing the whole piece at one tempo,
Mm-hmm.
right? And really feeling each beat, right? The first beat, second beat, third beat, fourth beat. You can accent even the notes that come on each beat, just so that you feel the pulse much clearer. Yeah. Um, and then yeah, the rhythm as well. Even the triplets, dun 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 dun, dun, right? So listen back to that rhythm. You've got a good feel for it though. You've got a good feel for it. It feels like a dance. Dun 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 dun, because it's quite a joyful piece, right? So once you get a feel for the rhythm, start thinking about the character a bit, yeah? Sophie, some thoughts for Vyas?
Overall, it was pretty smooth, but I guess the same thing applies. I guess making yourself more familiar with some parts.
Hmm. Yeah, agreed. Thanks, Sophie. And what about you, Harrison?
Yeah, I do think that you should just stay at one certain speed and then you get comfortable with that speed and then you move up a little bit every time.
Yeah, it's always good, right? So, and when you're playing at that one speed, make sure the notes are there, the rhythm is there, fingering is there. So give yourself a checklist throughout Vyas. And if you can do everything on that checklist at that speed, then you can shift up to the next notch, okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool, guys. Theme for today is make sure that you map out where your hands have to go and what's on the page, all right? Just bear that in mind every time that you guys practice, especially once you listen back to this video, if you hear parts in the music which are a little like you hesitate a little, observe what's on the page, all right? Figure out exactly how to move from one note to the next. Do it very slowly and always do it hands apart. When you're confident, then you can bring them back together, okay? Okay, thank you, Sophie, Harrison, and Vyas. That is our class. Have a great evening, and we'll see you guys again soon, okay? Thanks for
Bye,
joining in.
thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody.